There are a lot of African sports stars around the world. Some of them are the very top. But who among these are the most paid? Who among these earn the most? Well, welcome to Money Talks, brought to you by Life's Covet. I am Anishilowo, Jimmy Anishilowo. And as usual, we have our analyst with us, Ayoola.
Hi, Jimmy.
So, Ayoola, who are the highest paid sports stars from Africa?
Well, interestingly enough, for the year 2024, a group called Sportico, they released the list of the 100 highest paid athletes or sports people in the world. And for 2024, in the top 100, it was interesting to see that there were actually only 5 African players or African sports stars on their list of 100. And number one was the Philadelphia 76ers basketballer Joel Embiid, who earned around $58 million for 2024. Number 2 was Mohamed Salah. Interestingly, the Liverpool winger, who was the highest paid African footballer for 2024, and he earned around $52 million as well. Although, interestingly, his earnings came more from his they came more from his salary and his endorsements. But although he earns a lower salary than Joel Embiid, he earned a lot more in endorsements because Embiid only earned around $10 million, while Salah earned around $20 million. And then the list goes down. We also have more footballers. Riyad Mahrez, who incredibly earned the most salary actually of any African player. He earned around $50 million in salary, but only $2 million in endorsements. And that's why he falls behind Mohamed Salah. And we also have another footballer, Sadio Mane, who also plays in the Saudi Pro League, just like Riyad Mahrez. And finally, at number 5 is another basketballer, interestingly, Pascal Siakam, who plays for the Indiana Pacers. And he was number 5 on the list of top 5 earning African sports stars for 2024.
All right, so I can't help but notice that the number 1 was not a footballer. So he's a basketballer, right?
Yes.
So does this now mean, I think we've had an episode.
Yes, we actually have had this discussion before about the difference between earnings in basketball and football. And what we decided, or the conclusion that we came to was that while a lot of top footballers earn very well, as you move down the ladder to mid-level footballers,
like on average.
Yeah, on average, the earnings are not quite the same. Because if you look at the top 100 list, for example, there were 12 footballers in the top 100, while there were 36 basketballers. So on average, the basketballers, although number 1 person was a footballer, and in the top 10 in the whole world, there were 5 footballers. But as you move down the list, you find fewer and fewer footballers. And that's why we have 3 times as many basketball players on the top 100 list than we have football players.
Wow, that's it's still like a bit shocking to know, because I mean the popularity that football has.
Exactly. And what we find is that a lot more footballers earn more in terms of endorsements than the basketballers, while the basketballers generally salaries are generally higher, and so they tend to really balance out the.
Yeah, I was even going to point that out about the endorsement, because you mentioned like for Riyad Mahrez, he earned the highest salary, but he only earned, I think, said $2 million in endorsement. Yeah. So is this as a result of him moving to the Saudi Pro League because he's no longer playing in mainstream Europe?
Well, it doesn't help because it doesn't help not playing in mainstream Europe or not playing in one of the biggest leagues. In fact, not playing in the biggest clubs could even affect your earnings. Because we saw with Marcus Rashford, when he was about to move to Aston Villa, he had to have a sit down with Nike because Aston Villa are not considered a top club compared to Manchester United in what they can. We know who is where on the table, but in terms of merchandising and who can bring in more money for Nike, they looked at it and said, okay, you're moving from Manchester United to Aston Villa, so we can't pay you what we've been paying you before. So everything really goes to affect both the national team that you play for, the club that you play for, the league that you're playing in, will all affect your endorsements as well.
All right. So now, couldn't also help but notice that there are no Nigerians on this list. Where does the highest earning Nigerian, where does he rank on this list? Who is the highest earning Nigerian? I think we all know who it's going to be, but
Well, generally, some people might want to claim Anthony Joshua as a Nigerian, even though technically he's British and he was just at number 30 in the top 100 list because he earned $60 million last year from both salary winnings and endorsements. But he's British, so we can't really consider him. But in terms of footballers, the highest earning Nigerian, of course, is Victor Osimhen. But his salary is, I won't say way lower because it's still a lot of money. It's about $12 million that he earned from. That's the interesting thing. If he had gone to Saudi with Al Ahly in the summer, what he was being offered was around $33 million per season, meaning that he could have actually been able to make a splash in and probably get into the top 100. But as it is now, unfortunately, there are no Nigerians in the top 100, no Nigerians in the top 5 for Africa.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, once again, we've heard the news that on average, basketballers and footballers do not get paid, even though football is considered a bigger sport and all that, and also that there are no Nigerians in the top 100. What do you think about this? Do you think that someday that a Nigerian can make it this far? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. I am Anishilowo, Jimmy Anishilowo, and this is Money Talks, brought to you by Life's Covet.